Here's two reasons why we don't want to go knock on someone's door. Number one, deferred gratification. So, oh my gosh, I knocked on 100 doors and only 5 people answered, and I got into 3 conversations, and I didn't get a listing, and so it didn't work. Wrong. Worked perfectly fine. My goal with everybody I coach is to add at least one brand new contact every single day. Every day. If you can add more, that's great. But a minimum standard in my world is one a day, just like vitamins. So if you knocked on 100 doors and talked to 3 people, bada boom, bada bang, 100% successful. Did you get the listing? Maybe not. But you introduced yourself, you got contact information, and you now put this person in your database and you start following up with them like anybody else. If you're not adding leads to your database in some other way, for gosh sakes, go knock on a door. It doesn't cost anything. The bigger reason why we don't do this, and I've heard this many times, and people disguise it a little bit, is just basic fear of engagement. And so, I'm going to look silly. What am I going to say? Here I am wandering around the neighborhood. What are people going to think? So all these conversations are happening in your head, and in your head exclusively. They really aren't happening outside your head. Why do we talk ourselves out of it? We talk ourselves out of it because, we're a stranger. We're going to go knock on someone's door, and there's a certain amount of unknown there. If you are still in this mindset where you're afraid to do this or concerned to do this, for gosh sakes, get on my calendar as soon as possible. I need to walk you through why you don't need to be afraid. Okay. 6% of the population who owns property at any given time is thinking about selling. So this is on an average, okay? Some markets are better than others. You have buyer's market, seller market, balanced market. But at the end of the day, 6% is a pretty good number. Now, the average person who sells their home, they start thinking about selling their home about 9 months before they actually put it on the market. So door knocking is a target-rich environment. If you've got the discipline to knock 100 or 150 doors every week, and let's just say you have 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 conversations, you're going to add that database you have, add to it exponentially, disciplined week over week. When's the best time to knock on a door? Anytime you want to do it. But here are the two time frames that I think have worked really good for me and some of the people I've trained in the past. Friday afternoon works really well. Later in the afternoon, people might be getting off work early. They might call it an early weekend, and they're kind of in weekend mode. And so they start to relax a little bit. They're coming home maybe between 3:30 and 5:30. 3:30 and 5:30 in the summer in the afternoon. And then another great time that I've had incredible success with door knocking is actually Saturday, late morning. So Saturday, maybe people sleep in, it takes them a while to kind of get their stuff together. Maybe they're going to go shopping or leave the house or do something, baseball, soccer with the kids, whatever. A lot of times you can catch people when they're up, they're alert, and they still haven't left, to do whatever they're doing on Saturday. So whatever day you pick, do me a favor, put it on your calendar, time block it, and then find the discipline to actually do it. Okay, the key to overcoming the inertia that we have about not knocking on a door is one simple thing. You're going to practice it. You're going to learn it. It's going to feel great. You just have to have a better reason to knock on the door. Okay, you're a real estate professional and you're working in the neighborhood. This is your psychological staging. And you're a subject matter expert, which means you're in the field gathering additional information always about people who are buying and selling homes in the area in which you normally do business. Now, of course, right? It only makes sense that if you're a professional, you're a subject matter expert, you're not waiting for things to hit the MLS necessarily to understand what's going on. So you're walking around the neighborhood and you're talking to buyers and sellers and people who might be buyers and sellers in the neighborhood because you're on the cutting edge of what's happening. This should be your psychological staging when you knock on a door. Now, here's some preferred dialogue that I've used. It's very simple. Doesn't take a big memorized script. And so what I'll usually say is, hi, I'm Don. I'm with ABC Real Estate. I don't know if you know it or not, but there's a house 3 or 4 doors up the street or 2 streets over. Homes recently come on the market. It's very similar to yours, which means that when it sells, it's going to affect the value of your house. Would you want me to keep you informed and let you know when it sells and for what price? Now, there's a lot of people out there that don't care about the price of their home. Wrong. Everyone cares about the price of their real estate. They want to understand what's happening in their neighborhood. You're on the cutting edge of understanding it and figuring it out. So it's a pretty simple close at that point. You're not closing on, anything other than their contact information. And that is, when it does sell, I want to keep you informed. Would you want me to text you the price? Would you want me to email it to you? What's better for you? Bill, right? So now you got their name and you have email address or phone number. You're standing in front of their house. You have the property address. Guess what? Put them in your database. Now, what happens when that home does sell, and it may or may not sell, you have a reason to contact them. Maybe 6 months goes by, it's an expired, it doesn't sell, and you call them up and say, hey, just as promised, I just wanted to keep you in the loop. This is what I've done. Easy. Very, very easy, right? Yes, very easy. Okay, hopefully you're feeling a little bit better about what's going on. So you're not just creeping around the neighborhood. You're a subject matter expert in real estate trying to get additional information about buyers and sellers. Great. Here's my question to you. Are you a subject matter expert? Are you a subject matter expert? What makes you the expert, buddy? Well, here's the disciplined habit that you need to do if you're going to be door knocking in this manner. You need to, every morning, be in the MLS for about 30 to 45 minutes every single morning, looking at the areas that you mostly focus on. I don't necessarily want you looking at every city. I don't want you looking at every neighborhood in every city. It's very important that you concentrate your efforts within some section of town. Maybe it's a total no more than 1,500 houses, although that's pretty dang big. It's not really true farming. It's more territory management. What are the sales that are happening, and what are the pendings, and what are the closings that are happening? What are the things that are expiring and or just not, sell, withdraw from the market? If you're in that MLS and you're looking 30 minutes every day in that tighter proximity, then here's what happens. Every morning, something's going to happen in that general location. How do we know this? Because 6% of the people are thinking about selling their homes at any given time. If you're looking at a submarket that's got 1,500 or 2,000 properties in it, guess what? There's activity happening in there every single day. Every single day there's activity. Every time there's activity, it gives you a justifiable reason to reach out to someone that you may have had a conversation with in that area. And if you're not a subject matter expert and you're not taking that 30-minute to discipline every day to take a look at that, then you're not a subject matter expert, and you're going to lose confidence, and you're not going to want to call. Or what'll happen is you'll start looking, and 2, 3, 4 months goes by, and you look back like, oh my gosh, all those homes sold. And you didn't keep your word. You said that when the property sells, you were going to go back and let this person know, and you didn't. So do you just lock up and refuse to do it? No, just go back and say, hey, it's been a few months. How is it going? I just want to give you the market update. Here's the thing. Ultimately, you might add this person to a drip campaign. I don't necessarily recommend it. I want you to be a little bit more proactive. I want you to find the people in that submarket, those 1,500 to 2,000 homes that are going to be professional allies for you, professional friends, that you can connect with them on a regular basis. Trust me on this. The more you do this and focus in that tighter area, the easier it gets. One, it keeps you focused, so you're just not all over the place. Number two, you do start getting more comfortable walking through the neighborhood, because pretty soon you're going to see people that you've had conversations. Hey, how you doing, Don? I'm great. How about yourself? Beautiful day to walk the neighborhood, isn't it, though? It's small talk, and don't underestimate the importance of that. You're active. You're in the neighborhood, and you're helping people. Okay, 1,500 houses, 2,000 houses in the submarket. Which doors do you knock on? Do I want you to start at the beginning and zigzag your way through 15? No, I don't want you to do that. I want the market activity to drive your behavior. What does that mean? If there's a brand new listing in that market, in that section, I want you to door knock 100, 150 houses around that location. If a house closed transaction, same thing. If it went pending, same thing. Hey, it went pending. I don't know what the price is, but when it closes, I'd love to be able to reach out to you and just let you know what's going on. Now, word of caution, if it's not your listing, don't say it's your listing, and don't intimate that it could be your listing, right? So if XYZ Realty has a brand new listing on the street, you have every right to go door knock around that listing. Okay, just don't put yourself in a gray area. If someone says, is that your listing? I'll say, no, as a matter of fact, it's not. I do work with buyers and sellers here in this area. And I was just curious, when that home sells, would you want me to keep you informed? Easy, right? So let the market drive your behavior where you're going within that subgroup of 1,500 houses. It's really, really effective. The reason it's effective is almost always when a brand new sign goes in a front yard, what do the neighbors do? Ignore it? No. The neighbors talk about it. Oh my gosh, so-and-so put their house on the market. I wonder where they're going. I wonder how much. I wonder why they're selling this and that. And more importantly, I wonder what the price is, right? So here's the thing. Listing agents are not necessarily great at doing this because when they're taking the listing, they are really they're starting to market the house and they're gearing up. They're wearing photography and staging and doing all these things and, trying to put it in Facebook ads and Google AdWords. And they're getting some flyers printed. I don't know that many listing agents that are highly disciplined to go knock on doors. And this is one of the reasons why they lose their farms, quite honestly, is because they're not doing it, or relatively small number are. People I coach are doing it, but a relatively small group of people are actually doing it. And guess what happens? That sign goes up. Do you think that no one's talking about that at the dinner table that night? You better believe they are. And so let that sign plant and let that brand new activity drive your behavior to knock around those doors. It's a target-rich environment. Okay, there's a couple of other possible things that are going to happen at the door. And so if you're prepared for them, hey, you're doing great. So one of the things that could happen is they might say, gosh, you know what a coincidence. We were just thinking about selling our house. We did see the sign go up. And I'm kind of curious, could you come in and maybe do a valuation on my property? Now, don't laugh. This does happen. Does it happen a lot? No, but you have to be prepared when it does. The average agent is going to drop everything they're doing and they're going to run in there and just like, oh, let me walk through your house and the kitchen and this and that. An hour and a half goes by and great. Okay, well, we're thinking about, we'll be in touch. So what did you do? Did you kind of do a pre-listing presentation? Well, maybe you did and maybe you didn't. But what you really did is you didn't complete knocking on all the doors that you set out to do that day. And that's the death card. You have to be consistent and you have to knock on all the doors. So if you're halfway through knocking on doors and somebody invites you in, what do? Set the appointment for the weekend. Set the appointment for the weekend. You're going to walk into this house cold. Maybe you've had enough disciplined understanding to know what's going on in the market because you're in the MLS 30 or 45 minutes every day. Maybe not. So I don't want you to just walk into the house cold. If they're serious about selling their house and if they're serious about getting a valuation on it, set the appointment. You say, hey, it's Friday. I do have to finish what I'm doing today, but are you available tomorrow morning? And who else needs to make the decision about selling the house? Is it just you? Oh no, it's me and my spouse. I'm like, oh great. Okay, perfect. So it just makes more sense. Now what you're going to do is you're going to just set the appointment. It's going to give you the opportunity to go on to the next house and go on to the door knock until you've completed that task, which is just contact information. Hey, if you hit one out of the park, that's great. You set an appointment. But an appointment is just that. It's an appointment. It's not a pre-listing presentation. It's not a listing presentation. You don't want to flub your way through a listing presentation. You want to set the appointment and be prepared for it. Okay, so let's build this whole concept out a little bit better. Let's say you're lucky enough that you either have a listing in the neighborhood or somebody else in the office or a partner or another associate in your brokerage has allowed you to have an open house on their listing in XYZ neighborhood. I'm hoping this is a neighborhood that you normally want to work in. It's not on the other side of the universe, and it's a place that you're already familiar with. But let me tell you what, this is the best way to go out there and promote your open house. Hello, just modify what you're going to say a little bit. You're going to knock 100 houses on Friday afternoon. Let's say your open house is going to be on Saturday or your open house is going to be on Sunday. Great. You go out Friday afternoon. Just want to let you know, I'm Don with ABC Real Estate. I'm going to be having the house open here, 123 Main Street on Sunday. I would love to have you guys come by and take a look at it. Have you seen the property? Oh, you haven't? Okay, great. I'd love to see you there, right? So, and by the way, when it sells, I'd love to kind of keep you informed because it's going to affect the value of your house. The market activity here in the neighborhood is something I track. Would you want me to text it to you or email it to you? Okay, kind of the same thing, but now you've got a vested interest to really be standing there. You're telling them we're having an open house on Sunday. You're invited. You're a neighbor. I'm sure you're nosy about what's going on in someone else's house. Don't you want to take a look, right? Now, here's the thing. If they don't show up on Sunday, are you heartbroken? No, because you've already accomplished the mission. You met them, you got their contact information, and that is the entire point of having an open house in the first place. So I don't want you to guess about what the success rate of your open house is going to be. I want you to start knocking on doors Friday afternoon for a Saturday or a Sunday open house. Because if Sunday comes and only 1 or 2 people show up to your open house and they're both agents, and now you're at the end of the week and you're demoralized because you didn't meet anybody new and yada, yada, yada. Well, for God's sakes, it doesn't matter if they show up or not, because you've already, like I said, you've already achieved what you need to achieve. So when I cut my teeth in this industry, I started selling houses in the very first master planned city in the United States, a place called Irvine, California. A lot of gated communities, a lot of private, don't trespassing, non-soliciting signs, kind of one of those places. Now that's become more and more commonplace, not just in Southern California, but really across the country. It's private property. Get off private property, right? I don't want you to break any rules. I certainly don't want you to get arrested, right? Sometimes homeowners associations have got some pretty strict guidelines about non-solicitation as well. Does that mean you give up on this concept? Absolutely not, because all of the same obstacles that you're facing are the same obstacles that your competitors are facing. So if you find a way to penetrate that, guess what? It's still a target-rich environment. You still have the same number of people turning their properties. It's just more difficult to approach them at the door. Guess what? Take this preferred dialogue, take this script, take these action items, and just flip it over to the telephone. So now you can have basic geographical dialer, and there's a lot of subscription programs out there where you can identify a property that you want to take a look at 100 different homes around a specific property of interest. Property of interest might be something that just went pending, or maybe it just closed, maybe it just listed for sale. And so don't give up. Don't give up. Gated communities are difficult for other people to get into, but here's why you can make money as a realtor. You've got the ability to do something that someone else can't do, number one, or number two, more importantly, you have the willingness to do things that other people are not willing to do. You'd be surprised at how many realtors are just not going to knock on a door. They're just not going to do it. And how many of them have just fear of the phone. And both these two things are really connected to the same thing. We've already settled that. There's a limited number of things that are going to happen at the door. And if you've already kind of walked through a few of these very basic scenarios, you shouldn't be afraid or intimidated to get out there and knock on doors. You're going to knock on the door, and someone's either going to answer the door or they're not going to answer the door. If they don't answer the door, you slide your business card in the door jamb and you keep on rolling. Maybe you do something more sophisticated than that, maybe not. If they answer the door, you're going to go through your simple valuation script and, town crier method. I'm just here to give you the good news. Something's happening in your neighborhood. I just wanted to tell you about it. Super simple. Grab their contact information and move on. One of the reasons that agents get locked up at the door is because they have their expectations about what's going to happen there might just be unrealistic. Don't think you're going to necessarily knock on 10 doors and get 10 listings, or even 3 listings, or even 1 listing. Your goal isn't necessarily to get a listing. Your only primary objective is getting contact information. If you adjust your thinking in that way, then you're going to feel much better. It takes a lot of pressure off. Same with the telephone. Telephone rings and someone either answers or they don't. If they don't answer, you leave your message with your contact information and you tell them there's a house coming on the market in their neighborhood. Please, if you'd like additional information, please give me a call back. Simple. If they answer the phone, you say the same thing. If they hang up on you, are your feelings hurt? They shouldn't be. It's just pretty normal. And, but don't take it personal. Don't take it personal if someone doesn't want to talk to you. They just don't want to talk to you right at that moment. Why? Because they're not thinking about selling their house right away, right? And they're not in that mindset that they can even accept what you might have to be saying to them. But if you knock on 100 doors, I'm still telling you 6 to 9 people are thinking about selling their properties. It's a target-rich environment. Take advantage of what we've talked about here. If you have any questions or if you want to role play with me, get on my calendar. I'd be more than happy to walk you through how successful this can be when you take it and really internalize it. Please hit that subscribe button, and don't forget, visit our website and schedule your free 30-minute evaluation.